Welcome to Evening Tide Glen. I am your host, Elizabeth, because I'm covering for my pal, Cecile today. She's a little bit sick. Today I'm covering a very strange story about a detective and his fairly illegal calls, or so I've heard, to a island nation. Let us go to that.
You have to warn me before you guys do these things.
Now for the weather.
No, for the weather. Do 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 do. No, seriously. I reach over and turn off the radio because tonight I don't really particularly want to listen to the weather. I've been admittedly having a rough night. What with having to well, stitch up my own wounds because a very good friend of mine is completely unreachable. I've called Anais like 4 or 5 times and she won't pick up. I intend to call them just one more time, and as I reach for the phone, it rings.
Ring, ring, banana phone.
So I pick it up, and as I sit beneath my desk, hidden away from the window, I answer, Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Professor. Hi. Hi, Professor.
Oh, Nikolai! Hello!
Hello! Oh, it's about that time, isn't it?
Something like that. I had to call slightly different time today. Sorry about that. I had papers I needed to grade and all that stuff. So, but I'm here now. Hello, Nikolai.
Hi. No, that's fine. If you had called a bit earlier, the line would have been busy. I've been a little too busy, uh, lately. How are those papers going? I say, and I gotta roll. Nikolai. Yep. Yeah, alright. Almost forgot. This, this detective. 14. So that's not too bad. Not too bad deception. It's a 14.
Do you want Periwinkle to roll a contesting insight?
Well, that is up to you.
Hmm.
Whether Periwinkle would try to read into the slight wobble that is suddenly covered over by a question.
I think they would. Uh, but it's more so because they were getting ready to ask how Nikolai was doing. How's a 23 do ya? How's a 23 do us?
So as much as Nikolai is trying to divert the conversation back to Periwinkle and what Periwinkle is doing, which is a tactic Nikolai has used a lot of times before. And considering these calls are very, very consistent, there is something more wrong this time. Because it seems like Nikolai sounds like he's a little desperate for some sort of normalcy, which is very strange for a detective who lives in Eventide Glen.
Bless his heart. Oh, bless his beans. Um, I think. I think so. I think what Periwinkle's going to do, they're just gonna say, "Oh, the vapors, they went over pretty well. We got some pretty good grades. But enough about that. How are you doing? How are you doing? How is your most recent caper you've been on? Hmm?
Oh, it's going all right. I it's going pretty all right. Just haven't gotten any leads on the wolf attacks at all, but that's pales in comparison to some other things. Gonna roll it. Me dropping my dice.
Oh, other things like that.
um, well, I attempt my attempts to divert the conversation are not going well, so I lean a little further into the darkness that the enclosed desk provides, careful not to jostle myself. As I say, well, it's there's been a lot of problems in the old city lately. And when there are problems in the old city, there are things, terrible, unspeakable things that act up, and I'm feeling a little worse for wear, admittedly, and I can't get in touch with a friend of mine, which is usually a very, very bad sign that I'm either hmm. So there are two possible ways the story could go at this point. I'm either going to get captured, or I'm going to end up in the hospital because I passed the. And you hear a sound like jazz start to play over any form of words that Nikolai was about to say out, and hopefully I certainly hope it's the second option, because that would mean that this shot that I've got in my side will be taken care of instead of tortured with.
Well, I do certainly hope it goes the second phase. Well, torch is never very fun to be on the receiving end of. Is there anyone else you could call?
So the thing is, the problem is Casey's out somewhere else, and that means that she's absolutely unreachable. Magnus somewhere, and Alice does not have any form of medical capabilities whatsoever. I would not trust. Uh, I would not trust her with a band-aid.
Well, I know a couple of people like that. I do. Some people just do not seem to know which one is the sticky end and which one is the not sticky end, even though there very clearly is one end that's sticky and one end that is not. Uh, you know, figuring out how to do your own batch work and stuff like that might be a bit tough when you can't see anything.
Yeah, it usually ends up better if I have some help with it. Anytime I attempt anything like that, usually ends with me passing out and I end up in a hospital.
Hmm. Well, hmm. That is so funny.
The thing is earlier today, I uh, earlier today, the rain was so sweet because I thought I had gotten a lead on my current case with the werewolves, and then I found that they weren't actually a problem at all, and weren't even behind any of the quote-unquote wolf attacks.
They being framed?
Oh, most definitely. There's always someone being framed here in Eventide Glen.
Well, was it at least a nice frame?
I start to laugh and then I start, ow.
Maybe don't do that. I do not think laughing does not sound like it does you very much good right now. Do you need to take care of that?
um, hold on, let me call you back. And there's a and then the rain sound comes.
On the other end of the line, Periwinkle's like, I didn't know you could call me back. How are you going to call me back? I don't have a phone. Periwinkle's just yelling this in their basement. They're just sitting there.
Yep. Hold on a minute. Okay. And as you're sitting there, after the rain had stopped, you start to hear a trickle, and then the sound of rain as if it was hitting the top of the ceiling that you were sitting under.
Periwinkle is kind of like sitting and leaning back on their paws and kind of like, like waggling their feet a little bit. And they look up at the ceiling. They lean back a bit further and look up at the ceiling.
Yeah, and as you lean back, you're still in the circle, right?
I think with the call back, yeah, Periwinkle wouldn't have left.
So after a couple of minutes, there's a sound like, and I am able to use Aeneas's phone to get through to the professor on the other line. And I say, hello? Professor, you there? You still there?
Nikolai! Oh, you called me this time. Usually it is me calling you. That is very fancy trick you've got right there.
Well, sometimes it doesn't work, but I guess it worked this time.
I don't even have a phone. You still managed to call me.
Well, you didn't leave the circle, right?
I don't think so.
Then the ritual you're doing right now should still be connected.
Hmm. Interesting. You hear slightly faint, like, scratching in a
Uh-huh.
book on paper. It's like, did you need to? Why did you need to step away for a minute? Is everything all right?
uh, yes. Everything's much better now. I'm sitting in the morgue where my friend works, and they took care of me.
Oh, that's very, very good to hear. Uh, I was going to say it seems like a bit of a preemptive to go to the work when you're only injured. But whatever works for you, it works for you.
uh, well, the thing is that the reason why Aeneas and I have an arrangement, and Z can't really do anything for me if I don't come to where they work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it kind of spares on the medical expenses
I
because
I most
instead I do some favors for them. So,
That is very interesting. I mean, I was going to ask if you wanted any company while you patched yourself up, but since you are all patched up now, that is very, very good. Good to hear. Do not do not know what I would do if you fainted on me. I am not sure. I am not sure how I could how to go about that. Um,
I don't know how that would work either. I mean, ooh,
maybe one
that
day.
might have been dangerous if I was still on the phone.
Maybe one of these days, we can, one of us can faint on purpose and we can see what happens.
mm. Ow. I can't even muster up any words to say to that as I continue to laugh and just shake my head.
What is so funny? It is a very, very reasonable idea.
I think I would
There's
rather
valuable
prefer
information
not
to be
to
gained.
faint.
Well, then I can faint. It's all right. I've done it before. I'll do it again. Whether or not I'm talking with you.
Uh, I need to stop laughing so loud. Aeneas is looking at me through the window with this kind of look on their bat face, and they. I don't know, I really need to figure out how to describe what kind of expression they have on their face. It's their face. It's very, um, interesting. I'll have to write a note for that later. Um.
I've I've got some co-workers who have faces like that too. It can be a little bit hard to read sometimes though. Not being able to see half the face doesn't help all the time, but I usually just, assume people are feeling good. And it has worked out so far. Even though it's like Periwinkle, you can't always just assume everyone's okay with everything that's going on and happening. I'm like, well, if I just assume everyone is bad all the time, then that's very rude, you know?
Yeah, it is a little rude. Um, I gather up myself and my own bravery as I apologize for what I said earlier. That was a little extreme.
Uh, what did you say earlier?
About people capturing me and torture. Yeah, that was a little extreme, and I very much apologize for saying that. I was just in a bit of a spot, and
Well, I
I pause awkwardly.
I do not understand what you are apologizing for, Nikolai.
Uh, I'm, I'm gonna roll deception again. Yeah, that's good deception. Nothing. Just forget about it. Uh,
Oh no, I don't want you to not feel like you can. I don't want you to feel like you cannot talk with me about things. I mean, I'm a professor. I'm a professor. This is, stuff like that is not terribly unusual. I mean, it kind of is unusual. It's usually considered a bad thing, and it's not very fun. But it happens sometimes. And, it's okay to talk about it if you need to talk about it. I do not really think I could help you much from where I am if something did happen, but at least someone would know something.
yeah, it's best just not to worry about it, and let's just move on from that point in the conversation. Um,
Okay. But would you like to talk about something else now?
I glance around the room to make sure that they did not bug the place before I got here.
Bugs? Bugs are sometimes a bit of a issue. I mean, usually you can get the right plant and it will keep the worst ones away. But some of them are very, very, very persnickety creatures.
I spy a little bug in the corner of the room, so I very, very carefully stand up and slowly walk over to it. And when I get there, I cover it in cloth.
Are you going to take it outside and just like let it go, just like release it humanely? I prefer to do that rather than squish it. You never know if a bug could be something else sometimes, and if you squish it and kill it, then you've got like a whole problem on your hands, and you might even have a curse or two. So if you are going to take care of the bug, I suggest you just leave it and let it go outside.
No, it doesn't need to go outside. Not that kind of bug. Uh, I'm just going to leave it where it is. And I am going to very slowly walk back to my seat and lower my voice so that it can't pick me up. You know how I
Are
was
we
saying?
whispering now?
Yes, we're whispering now.
Okay,
I
okay, we
say
are
in a
whispering
whisper.
now.
Remember how I was saying earlier about how the old city is having problems and there are things in it that are acting up?
Mm-hmm.
The bugs. The bugs are part of that. They're tracking my position and trying to see what I give away. And I can't give much away. Because if I do, I'll get in trouble with a definitely not a government that's not listening to any of my words right now, and definitely not someone who would get me in trouble if I said something too dicey.
Why would the government have a problem with you giving gifts? Like, gifts are a very good thing to give friends and to give people. Like, if you just see someone on the street and you think, "Oh, that is a very neat person. I think I would like to give them something." You can just give them like a neat shell that you found, or a rock, or Jean has told me to stop giving people like little cursed pendants and things, but I think they enrich your life a little bit. Just a little bit of spice, a little bit of fun. But Jane's like, no, Periwinkle, you can't do that. Not everyone is equipped to deal with these sorts of things. And I'm like, Jean, but look at it. It's very shiny. So many
I
people would like to see it.
I don't quite understand how you keep getting cursed items, but I'm not
Oh,
really
that's,
going to question that at the moment.
I mean, sometimes they just kind of show up. Sometimes I just take stuff from work. Well, not work, but some of the places I go for work, and I'm just like, oh, this looks neat, and then I bring it back, and oh, surprise, it's cursed. But it's like that's fine, I'll just have another one. Um, Oh, speaking of curses, three.
Agent, if you're
It's
listening in on my call right now, I sincerely apologize. My friend here goes off on really long tangents, and sometimes I'm not even really sure that that they even listen to what they're saying. So, yeah.
Nikolai apologizing to his government agent for Periwinkle. It's fantastic. It's like speaking of curses, there's a new record in my class. We had three curses this semester.
Three.
Yeah, three students got cursed. That's a new record.
So is the goal? I pause for a moment as I try to line up what I know makes sense and what my friend the professor's talking about up in my head, and the pieces just don't go together, and I just stare at Anais's phone for a moment as I try to figure out why anyone would want to be cursed, and I say as much out loud.
Well, it is not. They're not cursed because they want to be. It's a. It's a new record, but it's not terribly far off from the vast, the vast record. The last record we had was like five. It started getting lower and lower. It started getting lower and lower when they start letting the younger students take my class, which I does not think is a very good idea. When you're young, that is the time that you need to learn these things the most. So it was only three students, but you know, j- everyone, the board's like, oh, that's very good. That's good. It's good. You're finally getting the hang of it. And I'm just like, they do not understand. That is not a good number. Only three students got cursed, like in a big way. That's not a good number. How are the other students going to learn how to uncurse people? How are they going to learn to uncurse themselves? If you can stay conscious, you can learn how to uncurse yourself. It is not very, well, it is a little difficult. It depends on like where you picked it up and how strong it is. But yeah, so it is a new record, but and everyone else seems to like it. But I'm a little
I press
A
my
little on the
hands
fence of
together in
it.
front of my face and press them against my lower lip, and I don't know how to respond to this, and I'm hoping someone who's listening would know how to respond to this, but I don't get an answer because that's just not how my life works.
If this number kids keeps getting this low, I've considered like they say, oh, there's like Periwinkle. You cannot do things to these students. You cannot, even if they volunteer, they cannot be parts of experiments and stuff like that. But they didn't say anything about V. So, I've considered if these numbers keeps getting this low, I will just, uh, I will just find some curses. I can curse myself it, and then the students will have to figure out how to uncurse me if they want to have like a grade at the end of the semester, because
I
otherwise,
think you are, and I interrupt the professor with a few words. I think you need to step back and think about what you're saying and the fact that cursing. I, I lose all of my words in the middle of speaking them, and I can't, I can't figure out how to tell the professor that this plan of theirs is not very well thought out. And it's clear to me which is some act of divine intervention, I think.
do you think I should get like another like a teacher's assistant who would be cursed? That might work better.
I
Because then, if it doesn't work, if the students can't do it, the students usually do pretty well. We do a version of revival every semester.
I
Um,
interrupt the professor again to say, I th- why don't you try with objects first? You can curse an object, and then there's no actual. I wave my hands in the air as if you could see them, and you can't, of course. But uh, you can't just curse someone that. Periwinkle!
Look, it's not murder if it's consensual, and I do not think I do not. I mean, it is. I do not think even cursing would be a good word for it if it is consensual. And maybe like I mean, you're basically, I don't know. I don't know. What is a word for cursing but consensual?
I do not know, and at the time of my writing this, I don't have the tools nor the brain space to figure that out. So I'm just going to skip a page here. Come back to that later. Maybe I'll find an answer. I'm not entirely sure. Spoiler alert, I did not find an answer.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, the board has started to take like more of a closer interest in what I'm doing. So I don't know. It might be harder to do. I just have to hope the numbers go up again, and we will have, more learning opportunities that happen naturally in class and were not propagated or started by yourself, Fairy Winkle, or by any of the students that you told to do the thing. So
So you just
hopefully.
said that that council is paying more attention to what you're doing. Do
Yeah,
you
the school
have
board.
an
Hmm?
idea as to why that is? Is that unusual?
Sometimes, the school board is kind of always, like Periwinkle, you shouldn't be teaching your class like this, Periwinkle. You shouldn't be telling your students this, Periwinkle this, Periwinkle that. Uh, but sometimes they get more vague about it than other times. That one time, when we revived a student who had died during the fast semester in the class, and the potion didn't work very well. They were like, Periwinkle, what were you thinking? I was like, it is a learning experience. It's very important for students to learn. And the best way to learn is by practical application. So it comes and goes sometimes. I don't think it's anything particularly unusual. Huh, why do you ask?
So why I'm asking. And I lower my voice again because I realized I had gotten very loud there with the exclamation of your name. And So, about the old city and it acting up and the problems that comes in with that. Someone high up in the system of a menacing government that I do not know about and am not mentioning may have pointed towards me as a scapegoat for that. And I've been spending a few days, days now? Or is it a week? Anyways, I've been spending time trying to clear my name because I can't do business and work for my clients when, I have a bunch of bounty hunters coming after me.
Does seem like it would be very irksome.
So I was wondering, because they're now paying a lot more attention to all of my movements, if our phone calls is the reason why on your end that might be happening. But from what you say, it doesn't seem like that's true.
No, there's nothing wrong with the phone calls. I do not see why there would be anything wrong with the phone calls. They're always telling me, Periwinkle, you need to get more friends outside of work. Periwinkle, you need to talk to people who are not associated with work. And they're all about making friends with continentals and, talking to other people from different places. I do not, there's no, that is, this, I am doing exactly what they want. I'm doing exactly what they want. I met a very lovely person while I was out on a trip to the continent, and we are keeping in touch.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better because I thought that maybe I was the cause of your own problems, but that does not seem true. Okay.
Oh no, please. Jean assures me that Periwinkle, you create many, many problems for yourself. So I do not think, that is what Jean says. I create many, many problems for myself. But really, it is just other people's ideas of what I'm doing that are a problem. Everything I'm doing is fine.
I let out a sigh of relief. Okay. Um. ah, I look towards the window. There's an ice out there, and I just kind of wave at some. Is
Oh,
there?
they for me too.
Hmm?
They for me
Yes.
too.
I also wave for the professor, though Anais cannot exactly hear me because they left the room to give me a little privacy on the phone. unlike the rest of the Midnight Crew, who either tends to quote unquote hide in another room to try to listen in, or stand right there while I'm still talking.
How is everyone doing? You said they're all off doing their own thing now and stuff like that.
Oh,
I I haven't talked to a few of them in a while. I haven't heard from them.
Creech is. Uh, well, Creech has been away on vacation for a while, which is why
Mm-hmm.
you haven't heard from them. Um, um, and Magnus is participating in, well, what they say is a lucrative business opportunity in the same voice as one of the grifters down the street. And I'm not exactly sure what that entails, but they have not been back in a while, and I'm getting a little worried that maybe the whole mess with the old city's gotten them caught up in it too. I should look for
Does
them.
does the old city do multi-level marketing schemes?
So, the thing about the old city is that we don't go to the old city unless there needs to be a specific amount of clean up. I'm going to roll
Kind of like Cloud City.
perception.
The city in the clouds. Most of the time we don't go there. We just let them do their own thing. There are some people that act like, they talk more often, but, most of the time.
And I say that with a heavy, heavy amount of sarcasm in the cleanup. And what I mean by cleanup, and what I really mean is extermination.
Oh, is there like a lot of bugs over there?
Um, hmm. It's, I. And the reason why I can't really talk about this right now is because there are people trying to listen in over the phone. And also, I am sitting in Ionis's office, and I don't want to get them in trouble with the menacing government that is definitely not listening and I definitely do not know about.
Yeah, bugs can be very bothersome to get rid of sometimes. You think you've gotten rid of them, and then you look inside another book, and there's another bug in there, and you're like, I have like 7 plants in here, and people are getting frustrated with giving me plants. They don't like to give me plants because they always end up doing weird things. Um, but that's the thing that works the best. Other than, having to dig through everything and clean everything, and you have to keep doing that. And I'm like, I've got shelves and shelves of books and papers everywhere, and they're always very carefully organized.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I say
it's
as I very, very carefully take the receiver and the other end of the phone and hide underneath the table as I saw a shadow moving up towards and I cannot get caught here. But I still wish to continue my conversation.
you seem to like small cramped spaces a lot. I also like small cramped spaces.
Well, they're very convenient for hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or just being comfortable. It's very nice when other things can't see you or get too close to you or sneak up behind you.
that's yes, why I prefer my office because my desk has a solid front.
Oh, maybe I should look into doing Oh, you mean like like the for Vydesk, Vydesk also has something like that, but it is, everyone else here on Cloud of Our Tiles is so much bigger. So, a lot of the times I just work under the desk because it is so big. It's like a little room under there. And students who do not, who haven't come in for like study time before, or someone coming in to see me is always like, Periwinkle, you almost gave me a heart attack. Or Periwinkle, don't jump up like that and scare me. And I'm like, I'm working here. This is just my office. It is where I work. And, if I work on top of the desk, I have to climb up on the chair and, make sure I have enough books to, reach the top. And I cannot reach everything. Sometimes I will just sit on top of the desk, and that works too. Um, Especially when I need to reach things from the shelves.
Yes, that's very nice. I'm speaking very, very quietly, as Anais is clearly talking to whoever that shadow belongs to.
Oh,
Because I
are we
don't.
whispering now?
Yes,
Sorry. Sorry.
that's okay. They can't actually hear you on the other end of the line, but they can hear me, so I'm trying to be as quiet as I can be. And I
Okay.
think it's working,
That's very good.
as the shadow is passing by the window, presumably looking in, but they don't see anything. I apologize, Periwinkle, I got a little distracted.
Oh, that is all right.
Um,
That is a little bit of distraction between friends.
uh, what were you saying about people? Oh, ah, yes. I look back at my notes, because I did actually hear it, so I did write it down while I was distracted.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm under the desk and it's my office. I know my office well enough so I can just, bring down a book from the shelf without having to go up and grab it. And when I am under the desk, everyone's like, "Fairy Finkel, I didn't know you were in here." And I was like, "Gina's here. I would be in here too." And they're like, "I do not know that. He's just asleep in the corner." And I'm like, "Well, why else would he be in here?" Oh, well, actually, I do not know. I do not know if Jean tends to go in my office when I'm not there because I'm not in the office, you see. Um, but
Oh, where
all of
are
the
you?
times, all of the times I'm in my office, Jean is within the office, and Jean is in the office. I know he's in the office too because I'm in there, so that makes sense, right? Sorry, what did he say?
Nikolai said, "Oh, where are you if you're not in your office?"
Oh, I'm in my basement. I have a whole like visual setup down here. It is a little bit dusty.
Ah, I see.
You know, I haven't used it that much. I set it all up after, I took a bit of an accidental vacation. Um, but it wasn't too hard to push the shelves away and smooth out the dirt again. Uh, Um, they don't like me doing rituals on campus anymore if they're not approved. And you've got to schedule this space and make sure no one else is using it. So it's just a lot easier to do it here.
I think I understand that. That makes sense to me. There's some, uh, well, place, I have a place in my apartment where a designated ritual place. Um, Not arcane stuff, but, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of different things, that are very important to do or that you can do to, protect yourself, protect your space, protect others, make sure things are not are not going to go wrong or, come out for you. And,
Well, I just up here in Eventide Glen, you just gotta have one of those installed. Otherwise, you just gotta continuously draw chalk on your kitchen floor, and you have to wash it every single time that you worship the great stalagmite, and it gets tiring just washing my floor. I've got so much better things to do.
I do not like chalk for like doing words and sigils and stuff like that. I usually find it better to just like infuse an object, but I can see how chalk would be tiring. I just because the basement floor is just a lot of smooth dirt, and you can just write it all in there and smooth it out when you're done, and it's very good for lots of if you're doing lots of different things in succession and such like that, or if you want to make changes on the fly.
Mm, I don't really need to make changes on the fly. I that ritual circle I had installed is set there forever. It's made out
Okay.
of metal.
Oh, that's very interesting. What kinds of metal? you, Nikolai, you can tell Periwinkle is getting ready to gear up to ask you a bunch of highly technical questions
I
that you.
look back and forth where I'm sitting underneath what is essentially an examination table that Anais usually uses to examine bodies. And I go, it's regular metal. You know the stuff that they make daggers with? I don't know. I'm not a blacksmith. You hear in the background a distorted Where's the blacksmith?
I have no idea what just happened there, but I love it.
Nikolai does not seem to notice whatever that distorted voice was. And I don't know if I can answer the. I mean, I can try. You can ask me some questions. I can try, but I don't know if I can actually answer those ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is very interesting. A permanent visual circle. Hmm. I've tried to do some things like that in some places, but they're like very Finkel. This is a public park. You can't just do that stuff here. And I'm like, this is the best place to do. It's the most important one. And if ever someone comes over, which not terribly often, they're like, Finkel, you can hardly walk without walking into one of these circles. And I'm like, yes, you just have to walk a certain way. See, there is a path. You go on top of the bookcase, and they're like, Finkel, I'm not coming over to your house anymore until you get rid of these things. I'm like, fine. So, you know.
Why do you need more than one?
Ah, well, with work.
I don't know. Enlighten me.
Well, there's all sorts of things that, you have to deal with, and, stuff that might be coming for you. You spend too long in a couple of places, and you get a little too acquainted with some things and individuals, and you start to kind of realize how fragile that that
Mm.
security very is, and you know you just realize what needs to be done to keep people safe, and to make sure not the worst doesn't happen. So yeah, more than fun. I've been able to streamline those things, and I was able to view, some places and set up some, like permanent boards um, around around the house and in other places. And, some of the things I learned, I helped to, strengthen the vans that, are working on the island and such like that. But so, I've kind of stepped back on it in the, the past couple of years, but the basement still works. Just have to shut the shelves out of the way. Uh, and Gene does not complain when he comes to my house anymore. So it's a win-win.
What? I look back and forth, and I can't believe I'm asking this kind of question, but I continue on anyways, because I am a foolish, foolish detective, if a detective at all. What kind of things have had you been poking where you need to increase the security of where you live that much that you believe they were coming after you? What kind of what kind of things? I thought stuff only got that crazy here.
Oh no, see, that's why I was so excited to learn about, how you guys deal with these sort of things. Not, I do not work with the college, so, I do not know very much about, the continentals and stuff like that. But from what Jean and everyone I've met, who's very worked or who has kind of worked, who has been dual enrolling, it does not seem, they do not say that, the continent is very much like that, very much like how we are. So I was very, very excited to learn that it's just like that for you, Nikolai. And, I think, there's a lot to learn that, maybe,
Perry,
from each other. And,
Perry,
uh,
Periwinkle.
yes.
I hate to break this to them. I really hate to break this to them. Where I live is not normal.
Of course it is.
No, no, it's not. Where I live, Eventide Glen, is the least normal thing here in Einquell.
I actually, from everything you've told me, it seems like the most normal place in Ankvel.
It's not. There is literally nowhere else in Einquell like Eventide Glen, and I'm not saying that fondly.
Well, of course, it is your home. There's little things about your home that other places can never replace.
I'm not saying this fondly. I'm not fond about that. The first time I walked outside of Eventide Glen and I saw other places so much more normal. So there's I stop talking as I try to figure out what kind of words I need to say at this point, and all of them escape right out of my brain into the stratosphere because I can't seem to ever find the right words to say about anything.
Hmm. I think Periwinkle. Hmm. I was gonna say, do you want Periwinkle to roll insight to kind of
Yes.
like catch? Okay, yeah. How's
Oh
an eight?
God.
How's an eight do you? Periwinkle, they were going to compare. Oh, bless. Okay, anyway. What's an 8 get Periwinkle on insight?
Unfortunately, not much because that's below 10. And you think that they might be doing that double talk thing that they do whenever they think someone else is listening in on their conversation. That they're actually lying to you right now, which is not the truth.
Oh, I get it. This is another one of the funny things you say, yes?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that again. Roll
It's
deception.
okay.
That's an 11. Yeah, of course I love this place. Why would I want to live anywhere else?
Hey, Periwinkle's passive perception is 11.
Yeah, perception. You have to roll
Yeah.
insight. Sorry, you can't get passive insight. I'm sorry. You're over the
Yeah.
phone. You can't see Nikolai's face.
Yeah.
You have to roll insight. You can't see any of the mannerisms they actually have right now.
Should I roll insight again, or do we
You
want to stick with
can
that
you
8?
can try, but DC's actually higher than
I would
11 because of
I
that
would
8.
imagine. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I could roll a disadvantage if that would.
Do not roll at disadvantage.
Okay.
um so Periwinkle, as you hear this apology, and you're starting to think that what you heard before might not have been a lie, and Nikolai is definitely lying now. Why would I want to live anywhere else? Is definitely a lie.
Well, I can think of a lot of reasons. Sometimes you might want to live somewhere else. For a long time, I work with the university, but Gene works with the college, and so his house is in the city. For a long time after my vacation, it was I spent a lot of time, with Gene at his place. Um, inside the city, where it is. It's the city. We put up some extra things for the cities, for the people that live there. So, you know, I do love the work I do, and uh the things I get to learn, and how much happens here. But there sometimes it is nice to just go somewhere else, and you know trust in what you have built so far.
I,
Yes.
s- I smile as my good friend the professor finally gets what I was trying not to say too loudly in this room. As much as I love the Midnight Crew, as much as I love hanging out with Anais, there are times when I don't love hiding. And I say, yeah.
To find someone that you do not need to hide with. That's always a nice thing to have. Someone that you can talk to when you need to. It is very important to have a support system and a support structure, And your coworkers are not always the best for that. And uh, you know, I am. If Jean heard me now, he would say, Periwinkle, you're such a hypocrite. But I have Jean. I talk to Jean. Jean and I talk sometimes. I go Jean and we make pancakes. And, you know, that's talking. So I do not think I am a hypocrite.
Pancakes sound really good right now.
Jean makes very good pancakes. Really only the blueberry ones. But sometimes I can sneak some cinnamon in. And then there's get the honey from the cupboard, and they're very, very good.
Uh, I'll have to ask. I wouldn't want to impose, but when, if, when I come over there,
Oh
that
yes,
might
of
be
course,
nice.
of course, of course. Jean would love to meet. Would love to hear about, meet my friend outside of work. He's been telling me for ages, Periwinkle, you need to get more friends outside of work. And you are a friend outside of work. I think he would love to meet you. And you guys are very much alike in a lot of ways. Um, you both smoke, which is not good for your health, but it is whatever. I
I
understand you do what you got to do.
Casey's always telling me that, and I always come back to her saying I don't. It doesn't work the same way with me. This I don't have this in my mouth. There's bad things happen.
It's like burning sage sort of, or like incenses to ward off things.
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Hmm.
Keeps
I should see about getting Jean something like that.
Yeah, it keeps their gazes off of me. More often than not.
Hmm. That is an idea. If you take a vapor and then you write the word on it, and then if you feel it with there is scratching sounds of paper of 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 writing utensil on paper in the background.
Above board, I feel so sorry for Jean.
Jean, Jean, you're about to, for the first time, Periwinkle is going to be offering you cigarettes. Maybe cigars too.
I
Periwinkle's
still
offering these.
still above board. I feel like Jean knows better than to just take them.
Oh, absolutely. This is sus as heck. Periwinkle's not going to explain anything unless he asks in a very specific ritualized manner, going through like 17 different steps, which he's done. I'm sure he knows very well by now.
All right, back into poor Nikolai.
Back under the desk
Back
or
in, back under the
basement.
table. Um,
Yeah.
that sounds so very boring. Pancakes. Making pancakes. That sounds very boring. You can incite that if you want.
Ah, I will. Shoot. That one.
Periwinkle completely misses the longing tone in Nikolai's voice.
Perfect, because Periwinkle is about to staunchly defend pancakes with their life. No, no, you don't understand. Pancakes can be very good to have. They're nice, they're nice. It is a calming sort of. It is sort of a ritual in and of itself. Baking pancakes, cooking pancakes. Um, sometimes, sometimes the burner's a little bit too much, but you have to go into the other room. But, they're very calming, and even if it's the same flavor pancakes every time, you've got to respect that he has a theme going on. And it's the narrator. You can't deviate from the theme, and I really think we should have negotiated that contract. But it's like, Periwinkle, don't mess with my contract. And I'm like, Gene, we can get you such a better contract. And he's like, Periwinkle, don't do that. But it's pancakes are not boring. People say waffles. They're like, waffles are so much more interesting. They've got like all the holes, and you can make them in shapes. And you can make pancakes in shapes too. And you can use the blueberries to give them little eyes and stuff like that. So I think pancakes are very nice. You will just have to try some, and then you will see.
I get a
Real
bad feeling that Periwinkle has not understood what I've meant and is now explaining to me the interesting parts of pancakes when all I want is not for things to be not interesting for once.
Who has his beans? Gosh.
Especially when I have a tendency to wish interesting times upon people that I hate.
You mean like curses? I don't think you can. Oh, you could possibly make a curse into a pancake.
Oh, I
But
said that all out loud. Instant regret
but
occupies my face.
I do not think that is one of the rules of pancakes. We leave rituals out of pancakes. It's just pancakes. Then we are making pancakes, not worrying about anything else. So maybe we could try doing curses with waffles. That seems like it would work better because you can sort of shape
I
them.
think I should say no, thank you. To any curses involved with food, I had a case a long time ago, probably not that long ago, but some time ago, where I had to figure out who was cursing all of the invisible crops that provide our food here at Eventide Glen, and it was such a runaround. 'Cause first,
Invisible crops.
yes, the invisible crops that grow like on the edge of Eventide Glen. There's corn, there's potatoes, there's what else is there that grows? Tomatoes? I think the farmer does tomatoes, yeah. Carrots. Yeah, definitely carrots. Invisible carrots. Oh,
How do you know if they are carrots if you cannot see them? Maybe they are parsnips.
I mean, they feel like carrots and they smell like carrots. Why wouldn't they be
But
carrots?
they could still be a parsnip.
How?
Parsnips are very good. You should try mashing the allegedly carrots, mashing them, put it at a little bit of like uh I know it is a bit of a luxury product, but if you can find any butter, mixing them with a little bit of butter,
Product.
um, a little bit of salt.
No, no, that's how you prepare carrots normally. Butter's not a luxury here. I mean, Yeah, you have to get it from a screaming cow sometimes who's screaming at you about the deals it has, and maybe it wants your soul, but then it talks back on that. No, it doesn't want your soul. It just wants a couple of gold for the butter it made. And it's a little uncomfortable sometimes, but you gotta know how to walk circles around it with your words so it doesn't get you into any deals behind your back. Um,
You walk circles around cows?
yes, with your words.
It your words.
And as the professor seems um a little unstable with that, I start to explain, and then there's a fizzing and and the line goes dead, and the rain goes away, and you're
Nikolai?
left in the silence.
Nikolai? Hello? Nikolai? All right. Well, Periwinkle stands up and stretches and shakes himself off profusely because they are soaking wet. One day they might bring a raincoat, but none of these days this past month or so has been one of those days.
I mean, you do notice every time that it actually starts to actually rain inside your basement, the rain never touches your circle. It never goes outside of it.
This is something that Periwinkle has definitely written down and has like 87 theories for, and is tested at length quietly in the background while doing regular conversations. All well, I suppose that is the end of the conversation for today. Well, in that case, I will talk to you tomorrow, Nikolai. Um, and Periwinkle says this as they go to uh, scrub out their circle.
Mm-hmm.
Does Periwinkle need to roll anything before the end of this FPS? Audio or heart? Because apparent audio or heart, I guess. Yeah, at the moment, Periwinkle is wrapping up. They're dusting the circle back to smooth dirt.
I have a question.
Yes.
Periwinkle waited until the rain stopped, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then you don't have anything to roll from me.
Okay. Well, I presume the rain stopped when Nikolai broke up over the ritual circle phone.
Yeah, it didn't stop exactly then,
Mhm.
but it petered out.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this time Periwinkle would have waited
Mhm.
for a few
Because
moments.
usually when Nikolai hangs up, the rain immediately stops, as if the connection was immediately severed.
Mhm.
But
Is
this
that what it
time it petered out, like rain passing through.
Hmm. Periwinkle's taking note of that. Um, but I think this time, since it's the first time it happened, Periwinkle did wait for the rain to stop. So at least that. Um,
Good.
at least that much. Yeah. So they wipe up the floor, dust off the floor, all nice, smooth dirt. Um, pick up a couple of notebooks, and uh, some sticks and some wood and stuff like that, and put it away in a nice little chest and lock it in another book. They carry up with them, back outside of the basement. Um, so yeah, they send the stairs, go out the little basement doors. What is Periwinkle's? It's not a very great perception. Uh, go out the basement door. It's like this. It's like a side of the house basement. It continues to roll terribly. That was 11, for perception. And if we're still going with the 15 audio, I'm guessing nothing to worry about. You know, it's just
Just
another
another
normal night.
day.
Another normal night.
Mhm.
And yeah. So that does us for illegal pen pals then.
Thank you for joining us.
Did we ever
Hmm?
in did we ever say who we are and
No.
what characters we are? Okay,
So
cool. We don't have to. We don't have to.
it's
It's
gonna
fine.
be in the description. If you don't know by now, you
If
can
you're
look at the
here,
description.
if you're for some reason here and you don't know what's happening, I would like you to let me know who you are and how you got here. I would very much love to know what series and chains of events got you to this place and time right now.
That
Um,
that would be very interesting considering I released these on YouTube and they are public.
yeah.
But if you're
Please
somehow finding
leave
your
a
way
comment
here
below.
and you have no idea how you got here, um, leave a comment below or go out to a forest and scream and scream and scream, even though no one will hear you. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
And James Baxter, if you're
James
listening,
Baxter.
I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.